Well, good morning, everybody. Um, Hope you're doing well. Hope you've had a good week. Um, so, I want to make this announcement. We'll get this out of the way real quick. Um, it is my intention starting next Sunday. Um, Date on that. Let me check. Uh, December 13th. To open up both churches and um, have services. I've done a lot of praying about this. Um, And what I am noticing just within myself is I'm slipping away, spiritually speaking. And I can only guess that some of you might be having um, the same problems, same issues, spiritually speaking. And um, so I think it's uh, God is wanting me to have the churches open. Now, does that mean that God's wanting you to be there? I don't know. That's between you and him, and I will not condemn anybody one way or the other. Um, but I feel like that God's wanting me to have these churches open so that people can come and worship as the body if they so choose. Now, the bishop has not mandated anything. I've been looking around, doing some research. The bishop has suggested that we shut down. And we have done that, and I know what it's doing to me. And the Methodist Church is taking a stance on this, that we shut down because in the Book of Discipline it says, hurt no one. And I don't disagree with that narrative. I don't disagree that we should be cautious in what we do, what we say, how we do things. And when we know that there's a disease floating around, and that we be careful in that sense. But I take issue with people are being hurt by not having availability to the church services. And I'm seeing it in just the total demeanor of some of the people that I have talked to, and really just within myself. And it's time to come back to. We're in the season of Advent. Last Sunday was the first Sunday of Advent, and we missed Easter in churches. And I personally feel like in both churches the numbers are down to the point that we can distance and keep our be safe about it. Wear your mask if you can't distance and do all that stuff. At Richland we had 9 in the morning and 9 in the afternoon at the 2 o'clock service. Now with the 2 o'clock service, I'm not sure on that one yet. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna have to reach out to some people and see if they're willing. They may not be, and that's fine. But just know that we are at least on the 13th. I do plan on going forward, and if it's just me there, that's fine. If it's only 3 or 4 of us, that's fine. But I feel like God's wanted me to at least have the church open so that people could worship as they choose. Now, and speaking solely from my standpoint, as I'm telling you, I'm struggling, and it's not a good place to be. A lot of anger, a lot of depression. And this is a time of year that can happen for a lot of people, but Christmas is coming, and normally I'm giddy and excited. Thanksgiving and Christmas and everything goes along with it. And this year it's subdued, and I hate that. And we have our Christmas tree up and stuff, and I like that, but I didn't decorate the house this year. Not feeling it. And I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be in this state of mind anymore. So I feel like I'm being prompted to just go do. So that's the plan. And this has been such a divisive time, not just within the churches, within our communities, within our families, but worldwide, how to handle this. And I don't know that anybody's gotten really clear-cut answers yet, if at all. So that's the plan going forward. And it's not all doom and gloom today. I don't want you to be there, because it is Christmas, and it's a time of hope. And that's what the birth of Christ, when we reminisce on the birth of Christ, people, there's a debate growing within the Christian circles that, Jesus wasn't born on Christmas Day. He was actually born in March or April or sometime in the spring. And I'm not going to get into all that. I think it's important that we do remember. It's an important date, just the birth of Christ in and of itself, and that the miracle that happened, born to a virgin, and what that means for us. The whole circumstance was extraordinary, from the very moment that he was mentioned, Jesus being mentioned in the Bible, to where we're at today. And as far as our salvation and what his life meant for us. So this is really a time for hope. And I think about the kids, we're getting the Christmas lists and stuff together for Santa Claus and all that. And the kids have this hope. They have that one item that they hope they get this Christmas. One thing they'd really like to see. And I remember as a kid, the hope, of I want a new football, or at the time Nintendo, I want a Nintendo or whatever. And there was always that hope. And some years your hope became reality, and other years it did not. But Christmas is always a fun time for that, to watch people open gifts. And I liken that to watching people come to understanding Christ. When we're sitting in Bible studies and you see something just clicks for them all of a sudden. As a pastor, as a fellow Christian, that's always a cool thing. It's even better than watching people open gifts on Christmas Day, but it's like watching them open this gift that keeps on giving in Jesus Christ, and the hope that is in him. If you don't have that hope right now in Jesus Christ, with everything that's been going on, where are you now mentally? I couldn't say. So really, I want to leave you. I want you to have the hope of the season that we are in. I remember back when I was much younger. My brother was probably about JD and Annabelle's age, probably about 9. I was about 11, maybe a little younger than that. But it was about 2 or 3 in the morning, and he comes barreling upstairs, throws my light on, and he says, "Matt, Santa's been here. Get up, Santa's been here." And I was, I'm excited. I get up, I go down, I look, and I'm like, wow, we got presents. Santa's been here. And he looked at me and he goes, "Are you gonna open one?" I said, "No. Mom and Dad's not up there. They're not gonna like if we open all our gifts." And he said, "Well, what do they care? Santa dropped them off." So I knew better. I didn't want to upset my parents because I knew the joy for them was watching us open these gifts. So I said, "I'm going back to bed." My brother did not. He opened all his gifts right then and there. And we were actually woke up by him kicking his soccer ball off the wall in the house that he got from Santa. And Mom and Dad were not happy, as I predicted. They didn't get to see him open anything. And I'm pretty sure he had all his candy eaten out of a stocking and all that. So, but I I live that. Now, what are some of your Christmas memories? Maybe pause the video for a minute and reflect on that, because I find great joy in those things. The Christmas memories. I remember my first Christmas with Becky. We were engaged, and her parents got us a lawnmower and a weed eater to help get us started. Uh, we had purchased a new house in Rockport, and I was living there. She was not yet, but we got this weed eater, and I was pretty stoked about it. Well, I was trying to figure out how to pick it up and get it to my vehicle, so I picked it up from the bottom of the box, and the weed eater's, the box was about as tall as I am, maybe. When I picked it up from the bottom, it went way taller than me, way up here, and I knocked one of the lights out of the ceiling fan. And for the longest time, they had an oddball looking ceiling fan because I broke the, whatever you call those things that go on outside of the light bulbs. But for years, I'd look at that and just remember that moment. And they showed grace. She laughed, Carolyn did, about it. I'm sure she wanted to stab me with some of the glass, but I'm just kidding. She didn't. But it was just, it's one of those things that I've always looked at and remembered and enjoyed that particular Christmas. And so I have hope. What are the things that we can look forward to this year? What kind of memories can we make? Because Jesus promises us these moments of memories, and maybe the memories are going to be the different Christmas that we may have being apart. The Christmas where the churches weren't decorated, at least ours. Hopefully we can look back and we can smile on this Christmas, and we can smile on the memories. I want to share with you from Mark, chapter 13, verse 24. It says, "But in those days following that distress, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give us light. The stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. At that time, people will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory, and he will send his angels and gather his elect from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of the heavens. Now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near. Even so, when you see these things happening, you know that it is near, right at the door. Truly I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass away until these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away." So, it starts out doom and gloom, right? Following that distress, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. That's somewhat of a scary thought for somebody that maybe doesn't know Jesus, or for some of us even that do know Jesus. That's a scary thought because, and I sometimes I think that's more the awe in God, and knowing that he is the holder of our fate. He is the judge. He's the jury. And he's the one that's going to make that decision for us, where we spend eternity. But then comes the hope. We're certainly in that moment of despair where the sun has been darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from the sky. Just look around at how people are responding. We are quicker to anger. And, if you've been out at all, people are just different. There's just gloominess. But then comes the hope. At that time, people will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. Do you see that? Are you looking for that? I got to be honest with you, I have not been. I've been getting stuck in the trap of the doom and gloom. I've been getting aggravated with a national media that lies to us, whether it's by omission, by the changing of words, or inflamed headlines. I'll give you an example. I was reading a story tonight. It got me. It got me fired up, right? And the first 2 or 3 paragraphs continued to build that fire. And then when I got to about paragraph 4 or 5, the story had nothing to do with the headline at all. The headline was saying that the state of Indiana is going to the Supreme Court, and it said that the homosexual couples stood the chance of being stripped of their rights to be parents. Okay, now this is one area where I think I know parents, I know people who are homosexual and have children, and the children are doing fine. It's not. Sometimes you hear, they're gonna make them gay or stuff. It's not like that at all. And in the situation I know, they're taking in foster kids like Becky and I have, and giving them a better life, a much better life, and trying to anyways. So at first when I read this, that was kind of the way it made it look, is that the homosexual couples are going to be stripped of that right, or stripped of that privilege, or stripped, and then when you read the story, that's not what it was at all. The state of Indiana is currently in the Supreme Court trying to figure out, in these same-sex instances where you have a woman carrying a child and the other woman has had no part in the process really, how to put that on a birth certificate. Birth certificate is supposed to identify the biological parents. In this instance, the one is not biological. So the state of Indiana, it's at the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to make a decision on how that's going to work. Okay? But that is not what the title of the article is saying. And no way, shape, or form is anybody going to strip the rights, or privileges, or whatever you want to call it, of these folks to be parents. It's simply, how are we going to handle this on birth certificates? I guess if you got down to the nuts and bolts of it, you could say that. But these are the kinds of things that aggravate me, is that these major news stories come out and they either don't cover it at all, or you've got 2 completely different stories, and we're left trying to figure out what's right. So I'm getting aggravated, and you see this, people are getting aggravated, but that's not where God's wanting us to be. God's wanting us to find the hope. God's wanting us to see the Son of Man in the clouds, offering us hope and offering us joy. God's wanting us to see what was in store for us when Mary was carrying Jesus. Think about that for a minute. Stop and reflect. That little baby boy that she was carrying around was born to die for you, so that you could spend eternity with God. If you can't find hope in that, dig a little deeper. My hope is in God. My hope is in Jesus. And my understanding is that things may not get better. The Bible tells us we're going to come to a time, throughout history it's been up and down, up and down. And the Bible tells us there's going to come a time when chaos will ensue. My hope is that the chaos goes away and we can get back to the peaceful, normal lives. But my hope is Jesus Christ. And through these tumultuous times, if I'm not leaning on Him, I'm fading. I'm dying. And over these last several weeks especially, since we've shut down. I am dying inside. Hope has been dwindling. I've lived that life. It's no fun. I've lived the life of hope. I've lived the life of the joy of Christmas, the joy of Thanksgiving, the joy of the Lord. And that's where I want to be. And I hope you'll join me in that this Christmas season, that though, the stars are losing their light, the moon is not shining bright, so to speak, we see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. Great power and glory. He will send his angels to gather his elect from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of the heavens. Rest in him. Do not toil over how to handle things. Some of us are there. How do I handle Thanksgiving? How do I handle Christmas? Do I invite people over? Do I go over here? Do I go over there? Pray about it. I went and saw some family right before Thanksgiving, and this person told me that they kind of were like, yeah, you can come, but I could tell there was a little bit of uncomfortable there. So Becky and the kids stayed home, and I went on my own. And it was a great visit and a great time. And then they weren't overwhelmed because we were able to stay way apart. I'm not looking to make anybody uncomfortable. I don't think anybody is. But do not get wrapped up in the worldly struggle of how to handle things. Let God figure that out for you. For you. It may be different for everybody. One person may feel they need to do X, Y, or Z, and you may need to do A, B, or C. You do you, and let God handle the rest. Because it's at that point when we finally give up this control narrative that we have in our minds. It's at that point that we can focus on what is driving us crazy. What is the news? Reading a headline and then seeing something completely different in the story, or, what to do about church, what to do about dinners and stuff. Just give it to the Lord. So when churches open back up, I'm not forcing anybody. Here in a week, I'm not forcing anybody to come to church. If nobody comes, that's fine. But it'll be available. If everybody comes back, great. Just remember to be safe. I miss you guys. Those of you who have not been to church since this has started, I miss you guys. And I need to do a better job of reaching out. And it's been one of the biggest problems I've had, is that I have been down to the point that I have let things get away, like reaching out to people who are shut in or not coming or not getting out, and just checking up on people in general. So I do apologize for that. I have allowed myself to get to this point because I'm not always leaning on the Lord like I should. So I apologize for that. I'm going to work at that. And I hope you guys will forgive me. And just know that I'm going to work hard. And I'm always working hard to be a better pastor, to guide these churches to God's plan, whatever that may be. But to do so faithfully, and to know that you guys will hold me in check when I'm out of line. And I appreciate that. Let's pray. Father, thank you for the hope of Jesus. And though right now, many of us are in a different place, just totally than we were last year at this time. I pray we find the hope in Jesus, the hope in this season of Advent. As we reflect on the lighting of the Advent candles and what that means. The light of Jesus coming into the world, the light of Jesus pouring out of us. As we look at the Christmas decorations, maybe it's not as many as we normally put up. Maybe we went overboard this year, more so than normal. Let us look at those decorations and reflect on the beauty of Christ through them. And the beauty of the story that you have written through him and for our lives. And Father, I thank you for that. Lord, be with us, guide us in these decisions that we have to make in our day-to-day routines. Show us how to be safe and to not be combative, and to just go humbly in your will. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. You guys have a good week.